Thanks for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus. I'm Caitlin Galloway. I'm here with Eastern Washington head men's basketball coach Dan Monson because we've got the 509 Classic happening soon. Exciting stuff. Just first of all, I know this is an event that is designed to obviously showcase these two teams, but also to really bring the community together too.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the 509 Classic is a great name for it because, the area, and you could add the 208 with the Northern Idaho with it, and this community has so many great events, from Bloomsday to the Lilac Festival to Hoop Fest, and this is just another community event, and a lot of people are mixed families of Eastern, Gonzaga, Washington State, Huskies, and it's just fun. It's a preseason game, and it's fun to appreciate to Washington State. It's kind of a lot of bigger schools don't think it's of value for them, but they have found a value in this game, and I think the community will also.
What's it like being able to play in an arena like Numerica Veterans Arena in downtown Spokane, where you have, like you said, a lot of fans from a lot of different teams and backgrounds?
It's funny because I was, when I coached at Gonzaga 25 years ago, and the building was fairly new. I had a chance to play University of Washington there, and I just remember it being so big time. It's a big time arena. And last year when we played Washington State in there, I walked in, I'm like, they've kept it up great. It doesn't seem like it's aged. I told our players that yesterday because we weren't able to get into today. I said, tomorrow when you go in there to shoot around, you're going to find out it's a big arena, a big time arena, and a big time stage for this community in this area.
What is it like for your players to be able to play on a stage like that? And you've talked about this a little bit, but what advice have you given them about playing in an environment like that?
Well, I told them, it's a great opportunity for a smaller school to play a bigger school on a neutral court always, and that's always been a philosophy of mine, to try to get games like that, because it's so hard. You usually have to go on the road. We've only had 2 home games, already, this in the preseason, because we have to go on the road so much. So this is really unique to be able to do that. And I said, just, we got to take advantage of it. It's a opportunity. If you win this game in the community, a lot of people don't care about the other, that we've been struggling in other games. This is an opportunity to take a swing at your big brother, and hopefully we can land a punch.
I believe there's some NIL money on the line, too, for the winner of this game. What does that add to your program, and is that something that you guys really think about going into this one?
Well, it's the day and age. Everybody thinks about it because it's a necessity. It's college basketball in 2025-26, and so you either have to adapt to it or die. And we're planning on thriving through this era of basketball, and this is an opportunity for us to thrive in it, because to be able to get some NIL money for our players is a big deal, and a great recruiting tool. And again, this game is just such a great event for our program and our kids and the community.
You talked about, too, your coaching experience at Gonzaga. Obviously, you're a pretty familiar name in this area and in Spokane basketball. How have you seen Spokane change in just the landscape of basketball, especially college basketball here in Spokane?
Well, yeah, there's another school in the 509 that is staking the claims of some of the basketball, in Gonzaga, and that's been probably the biggest change, because when I first got to Gonzaga, and I think it was probably like 1988, something like that. I mean, it was a predominantly, the 509, the 208, the 206. It was predominantly the Huskies and Washington State, and to see Gonzaga, be the marquee basketball program, not just in our area but in the country, is a huge change. And to see what Washington State's going through, moving leagues and that kind of thing, it's an opportunity for somebody like Eastern to get some more support, and when there's change, it's going to be good or bad, and we got to take advantage of what we can in an era where things are changing daily.
What have you seen from Washington State so far this season, and how are you guys preparing?
Well, I've seen a team very similar to us in the fact that they played, a really hard schedule. They're still trying to find themselves. They got a lot of new players. A team that I think is going to be very competitive when they get to the West Coast Conference. And in this game, you can throw the records out. I think both teams are better than their records. I think both teams are gonna compete very well in their leagues. But this is an opportunity for both teams to take another step towards that, and to do it with a win instead of trying to get better through these losses. And so I see a lot of ourselves in them. I think they play really hard. I think their offense is ahead of their defense like ours, and I hope it's not. We got to get better defensively, but it could be a real shootout tomorrow night.
You talked a little bit about this too. You guys it's been an up and down maybe start to the season. How do you feel about where your team is at right now? What have you learned, and what do you still need to kind of build up going into Big Sky play?
I think we're a pretty good basketball team in stages and in spurts, but it's all about being consistent. We're a good basketball team, but we're not consistently a good basketball team. And you got to go for 40 minutes, and you got to continue to play through the ups and downs and the fatigue and the frustration. And we're just not there. We've lost 2 overtime games. I think of our, I think we have 8 losses. I think 5 or 6 of them are a 1 or 2 possession game. We're playing well enough, but we're not. We got to learn how to win. You got to learn how to close games out. You got to learn how. We've had some late leads that we've lost, and that comes. You kind of have to live it before that usually happens, and it comes from experience. And this will be, I think, another close game, and one of us has got to deal with it again through adversity, and the other one, I think, will walk out of here feeling pretty good about themselves.
Talking about adversity, you guys were dealt a little bit of a blow too in the early season with some injuries and stuff like that. Who have you seen really step up and kind of emerge as leaders on this team so far?
Yeah, that's a good. Andrew Cook was our leading scorer returning, and for him not to go in the portal and want to come back and help Eastern, he didn't feel like last year was how he wanted to end his career here, and I just had so much respect for him, and it broke my heart when he broke his ankle in 3 or 4 places and is out for the season. But I think Isaiah Moses is the second leading scorer in the Big Sky right now. He's had a great preseason. I think he's one of only 2 or 3 players in the country that's shooting 50% from the floor, 90% from the foul line, and 40% from 3. And so, he's had a great preseason. Kyrie Huey, transfer from the University of Miami, has started to get into shape and find his role. And those 2 players, I think, have stepped up. And now we got to get, but we need a team to step up. We need everybody. I always say we don't need anybody, we need everybody. And that's really something that this team, I think, is exemplifying right now. We're good in stretches, we're good in spots, we're good in spurts, but we just got to be consistently better as individuals and as a team.
What are some, I guess, maybe hallmarks of the identity of this team that you've seen so far?
Well, I think the biggest identity is they're really good guys that like each other, and when you've been coaching a long time, you don't take that for granted. I mean, I told one of them, we had a kid over, we practiced early in the morning, and we had our first guy oversleep his alarm, and I said, the one thing that I found about this team, I set an alarm every day and I never need it, because it's a fun group to come see every day to help get better. They want to get better. They got, I think why I'm so optimistic about a team that struggled so much in the preseason is because they got high character and they care. And I think this is, I think we're going to continue to get better, and when we hit league, I think we'll be very competitive in the Big Sky. But I think that's the biggest identity for them, and also, they're a good offensive basketball team. I mean, our numbers are way ahead offensively than defensively, and that's, as a coach, that's hard to come by. You can drop all the plays you want, but at the end of the day, they have to have the skill set to make baskets, and they have that. Defense is more of an attitude and an effort, and So I'd rather have it the way it is, where I think we can really improve defensively, rather than, the other way where we're really struggling to make baskets and can't physically, have the tools to compete offensively.
What should fans be excited about the 509 Classic and to see from this team?
Well, that Washington State would come to Spokane and play Eastern Washington, where, again, I think we have more alumni in the area than anybody, and Washington State has the second most, and it gives people from that are Cougars that love their Cougars. They don't have to drive to Pullman tomorrow. Eastern people get a chance to, like I said, we've always kind of been a little brother to Washington State, and it's just. I just think, scheduling is really hard in college basketball these days, and, Gonzaga's playing Campbell University at the same time as we're playing, and no knock to Campbell, but I don't know what state they're in. I don't know where I don't know what city they're in. I don't know what league they're in, But if you live in this area, you know where Eastern Washington is, you know where Washington State is, and you know somebody that went there, and usually that's somebody in your family. So, it's an opportunity for them to support the community, to support the players and get them some NIL, and to just be a part of, again, this is a community that has always come together, from Hoop Fest to Lilac Festival to Bloomsday to so many other things. This is just another community thing that I think hopefully people will rally around and say they want to be a part of.
You've coached in a lot of different places, obviously, but
not that many. Not for Division I basketball coaches. It's only been 4. So
actually, I feel like in this era of college sports, that is impressive. But I was going to ask you. Obviously Gonzaga, Eastern Washington, the greater Spokane area. You found your way back to this area. What's so special about basketball in this area in your experience?
Well, I think it's special for the Monson family because it's where not only I started, but my dad started. His first college job, head job, was at the University of Idaho, which is the alma mater, which is my alma mater. And so our roots run deep here. And to see, his career go all the way around from Michigan State to Idaho to the University of Oregon, and then retire here in town, as Judd Heathcote did, his mentor, as Dan Fitzgerald did, my mentor, there's, you can't tell me God doesn't work in mysterious and very, very good ways, because I had, when this Eastern job opportunity came about, I had not just cousins and aunts and uncles and everybody living here, but my wife and I had all 4 of our grandparents, our parents, alive and living here in their late 80s and 90s, and we both lost our dads this year, and we both were here all year to be with them in their last year, and to be able to spend so much time with them was truly a blessing. And now we have both our moms, healthy and widowed, but being able to spend time with them. So it's not just a deep-rooted basketball connection for me, but also a deep-rooted family connection.
It's perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Coach. I really appreciate it. 509 Classic tip-off, 7 p.m., and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you.